In the year 1977, the city of Boise was in the midst of a major debate. What should downtown Boise look like? Some wanted to see the downtown area essentially leveled and redeveloped to include a major shopping mall just down the street from the state capitol. Others in the community, they pushed back during the 70s, calling the idea to knock down the entire town, rebuilding the whole thing. They called it crazy. But in 1977, even Marvin Gaye was singing the top hit, "Got to Give It Up." One spot that was on the chopping block in the 70s, the famous Egyptian Theater. And a fun fact for you, on this day, 48 years ago, the Egyptian Theater was added to the National Register of Historic Places, all the way back in 1974. 3 years after that, 1977, one man was not singing "Got to Give It Up" when it came to the downtown Boise debate. Instead, it was more like the 1977 hit, "The Things We Do for Love" by 10cc. That love kept the current face of Boise from missing a major piece of real estate. When you think about Boise, Idaho, what are the places that make Boise? The river, the blue, the state capitol. The tapestry is rich, but some places sticking out more than others.
I've loved this building my entire life, and now I get to talk about it when I talk about historic places in Boise.
The Egyptian Theater, right in the heart of Boise.
My name's Dan Everhart. I work for the Idaho State Historic Preservation Office. I'm the outreach historian.
The historian Everhart explains, Egyptian aesthetic was all the rage when the Egyptian Theater was first built in 1927.
It was meant as an escapist experience for folks who were looking for something new to entertain them. And don't forget the air conditioning, which was unusual in Boise at the time. So this was unlike any other place that you would have been. And certainly I, as a child, as an adult, experience that magic every time I'm here.
But why the Egyptian decor in Boise, Idaho?
The building exists in this shape with this design because of the discovery of King Tut's tomb in 1922 and the resulting craze for Egyptian style and design that followed.
As the 1930s passed, Egyptian architecture became passé. The theater in Boise and others like it around the country began to see changes.
This theater itself was sort of whitewashed, literally, to remove some of the elements of Egyptian style and make it more modern. And of course, this is the American way. We get enamored with something for a little while. It's a craze, it's a trend, and then we move on, and we tend to forget about and sometimes actively seek to throw away.
The Egyptian Theater became known as the Fox and later the Ada Theater in the 1940s. Fast forward to the 1970s, the building finally returned to the Egyptian moniker, being placed on the National Register of Historic Places on November 21st, 1974. The building became a target, though, for demolition as development of downtown Boise continued in the 1970s. In 1977, the fate of the building eventually landed in the hands of Earl Hardy.
I'm Kay Hardy, and I'm the daughter of Earl Hardy, the man who was responsible for the preservation of the theater when he purchased it in 1977 when it was scheduled for demolition through the Urban Renewal Agency.
Kay remembers the drastic difference between the building now and its form in 1977, and also the personal risk her father took with a personal bank loan.
When Dad purchased it, the lobby was whitewashed. The exterior of the building had been painted white, so there was no color, there was no decoration. We didn't have a tenant for the building, and Dad came back to the office and said, I must be crazy, but I just couldn't stand the destruction of downtown.
Hardy saved the Egyptian Theater from becoming a historical note, instead working through the end of the 1970s with Hummel Architects to repair and restore the building. Fast forward another 20 years, Kay Hardy and her now husband, architect Gregory Kaslow, they worked on an extensive restoration again of the Egyptian in 1999.
Well, it was an interesting building. The ceiling was thoroughly corroded, for example. So one of my first impressions was looking in here and looking at all the holes in the ceiling, all the rust stains, and so it was kind of a mess.
So at that time, Dad had a lease with a national movie chain, and they would not shut down their movies for Dad to be able to repair the roof. And so the roof deteriorated, and he was not able to work on repairing the roof until the National Theater chain terminated the lease.
So when I became involved, it was just a matter of slowly dealing with one thing after another until we could actually stage a formal restoration in 1999.
The Egyptian was brought into the 21st century with a fresh look, ready for the new millennium.
This is unique to Boise, and that uniqueness is important, and the character that it gives to the city is incredibly significant. So take this away, and you rip out a piece of Boise's soul. I don't think we could survive exactly the same way as Boiseans without the Egyptian theater.
The 2000s brought new cinema and shows to the Egyptian theater, remaining a beloved, unique energy just down the road from the Idaho State Capitol. The new millennium, though, came to a screaming halt in 2020, a global pandemic, a time where all theaters became a place not to go. But that opened the door for another Egyptian aesthetic development.
I don't think we ever discussed it. We just went right into it.
The process has been invigorating, I would say. I'm not saying that it didn't come without hassles, but it's been invigorating because of the commitment to the theater and actually the commitment to the community. And the fact that we've had young children come in here on tours and then for events, and I remember this one young girl, and she said, "I have never seen anything so beautiful. I didn't know anything like this existed."
Kay, what do you think makes a building meaningful to people?
I think that something unique helps people understand the uniqueness of culture. And so history is embedded in a building, as it was when this was constructed in 1927, and as it is today with its current renovation. But I think when everything in life, or so much of life, becomes the same without differentiation or without uniqueness, I think that it's more difficult for people to see. I think that beauty and something unique are important elements of a person's ability to learn about history and learn about culture.
The Hardy family still owns the Egyptian Theater as part of the Hardy Foundation, and the venue is run by the Egyptian Theater Company. And if you are looking for a break from the Thanksgiving foods, now through Saturday, except for Thursday on Thanksgiving, the theater, the Egyptian, is showing classic movies for you and the family. And those classics include, but are not limited to, The Sound of Music, Wizard of Oz, and the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And there are 3 showings per day, and showtimes they do vary throughout the week, but tickets are only $5 a piece. Showtimes and tickets can be purchased on the Egyptian Theater's website, so a great excuse to get the family down there and see it if you never have. And in December, the theater will pick up classic movie showings to feature some Christmas classics, including A Christmas Story, Elf, and of course, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. You can find the Egyptian Theater downtown across from City Hall. We'll be right back after this.